Found proof that my pregnant fiancée was cheating on me with my dad. So I ruined her plan at the baby's gender reveal party. But then she tried to frame me as the cheater. Hello everyone. I don't know how these social platforms work. I've never been the one to openly show my feelings to the crowd on a social media channel that is accessible to everyone. For crying out loud, I wouldn't share my feelings with the closest of friends even if someone had a gun to my head. I am very reserved and do not prefer attention. But things have been very bad lately and I cannot trust the opinions and judgments of my friends, family or well-wishers because they would all be biased. I want someone to hear the facts and splurt out the truth so that I can be sure that their statements are not influenced by their acquaintance with me. I am not going to disclose my real name or the names of anyone else in my life. I will use fake names and my story will however remain the same. Just a few months ago, I was the most happiest person to walk the surface of the earth. I woke up with a grin plastered on my face and slept with immense contentment. The level of satisfaction I had over my life was almost unrealistic. I am saying this because I've never been a person to thank God for what He gave me or spend hours and hours in Sunday church. And believe me, God has bestowed upon me gifts that are otherwise considered privileges. I am filthy rich because of my businesswoman mother. I have a PhD, my job pays me very well and I already own an apartment in New York City. I never took a penny from my mother. It's all my hard work. I, 32, went out of my way to secure my future. I come from a competitive family, so can you blame me for being as perfect as possible? No siblings to irritate me, no overbearing parents, relatives who never interfered in my life, and my friend circle has some of the most accomplished citizens of my country. I had everything sorted. And then I meet this gorgeous woman. I think the perfect name that would fit her is Karen. You'll know why soon. I met Karen at a conference where I delivered a speech related to the latest advancements in the field of biotechnology and healthcare. I won't bore you with the details of the conference, more so because I don't want the curious minds out there to track me down. Just kidding. Karen, 28, now, is immensely knowledgeable and knows what she's talking about. She also comes from a very affluent family and we clicked in an instant. I was 28 back then and she was 24. We dated for more than 3 years. Almost 6 months ago, Karen came and told me that she was pregnant and expecting our baby. I was in a phase where nothing was working out for me. My research project was seeing way more hurdles than it should be. My mother was diagnosed with breast cancer and my best friend was going through a very bad divorce. And, I couldn't console or be there for her. I will tell you why shortly. Of course, I was overjoyed to know that Karen was expecting our child. What else can a man ask for but a token of his love delivered to his doorstep? Everything was great. I was spoiling Karen and treating her like a queen, which I thought she was. I was always present at home, even putting my professional commitments in the backseat. I still remember. It was a Tuesday and I was checking my emails in the morning. That is what I do usually. Wake up, sit with a cup of coffee, answer back to important emails and trash the rest. There was this anonymous mail that caught my attention. The subject line had text in caps lock, the letters were in my face. It was evident that the person on the other end wanted me to see the email at any cost. So, I opened it and found a few pictures. It would be an understatement to say that I was shocked. You wouldn't believe me, but I could feel my heart thumping in my throat. My body heated up and my legs began to quiver. I thought I was going to faint. They were Karen's photographs with my father. My biological father. She was on his lap with her hands around my father's neck. His face was very close to hers. And his hands were beneath her skirt. Judging by the lighting and the furniture, the 2 wine glasses on the tea table before them, the image was clicked in a public pub or club. The next picture was more devastating. It was the both of them in the living room of my New York apartment. Yes, the same one I mentioned earlier. We stayed there after she decided to move in with me. They were making out. This picture was blurred as if the photographer was in a hurry. There were many such photographs. A day before I got this email, I bought a ring for Karen to propose to her. If we are having a baby, there's no point in waiting anymore. At least, that is what I thought. So, just imagine how I felt after seeing that she was cheating on me with my father of all people. I tried to reply back to the email, to ask who this anonymous person was. I didn't want to lose my happy bubble, so I immediately took to the comfort of wishful thinking. We are in the AI generation, so these images could have been easily created and not clicked. Also, who could have entered my apartment to click the photographs? So, I let it go. In the same week, Karen stumbled upon the ring I bought for her and started screaming in happiness. I had that gut feeling, this urge to pull that ring away from her hands, but I resisted. If I make a mistake, if I question her loyalty, I might lose her forever. I kept quiet and let her celebrate. She called her family and mine to say that we were engaged. While she was speaking to my father, I paid keen attention to their conversation, more so than necessary. I found nothing remotely wrong with it. They always had a good rapport and it was just the same. That's when I dismissed the photos as mere images. It could be someone who hated Karen and wanted her life ruined. I let it go. Now, I want to go a year back in time to tell you about my best friend. This is very important to understand my present situation. Chloe, 31, has been my best friend since my college days. We were those people who never tried to jump from being friends to banging each other. Almost everyone in college ended up doing it, but not us. We were like siblings, being there for each other and supporting each other's dreams and aspirations. She was like my therapist, always had answers and guidance to my problems. She met her boyfriend right out of college and he was a great guy. They got married shortly after and had a daughter. I always stayed in touch with them, irrespective of where I was on the globe. When Karen came into my life, I immediately introduced her to Chloe. I wanted Chloe to approve Karen. I know there is no need for that, but some part of me wanted Chloe to look at my girlfriend and say that I made the right choice. Chloe and Karen were great with each other. We went out together multiple times and they never showed any animosity towards each other. Until one day, Karen suddenly said that she disapproved of my friendship with Chloe. I asked her why and she justified her decision by saying Chloe wants to get into your pants. It's very obvious. Can't you see? Not once in our decades worth of friendship did I feel that Chloe wanted to be anything more than friends. I explained the same thing to Karen but she wouldn't listen. This is when that 1-year honeymoon period of our relationship ended. We used to fight almost every day because of her assumption of Chloe's intentions. This was also around the time when Chloe and her husband were filing for divorce. They had many differences and her husband started doing drugs and flipping through girls like they were pages of a novel. It is only natural that Chloe wanted to stay away from such a man and also keep her daughter away from his influence. She used to call me and tell me how the divorce proceedings were happening, share her problems with me, but Karen used to frown upon it. She used to say that since Chloe's old husband is out of the picture, she wants me to fill the void. It made no sense. If I pointed that out, she'd scream, cry and start saying that I'd one day leave her for Chloe. I understand that friendships are valuable. But we were not those young people from college anymore. We had to get our priorities right. If I have to choose someone, it must be my life partner. I would be spending the rest of my life with Karen, so it was only right that I respect her insecurities and acknowledge her concerns. If she didn't want Chloe in my life, I wouldn't engage with her like I used to. Of course, I didn't want to block Chloe completely. It's not fair. I told the same thing to Karen and she agreed reluctantly. Just as I had promised to Karen, I spoke to Chloe occasionally. I made up reasons to not meet her. Even if she called, I'd spend more time on the phone or video call with her daughter and not her. The sudden change in the dynamics is very obvious. You step into Chloe's shoes and think for an instant. If you were her, wouldn't you be baffled to see your best friend drift away when nothing went wrong? Chloe was in a bad headspace and I only made it worse with my stupid behavior. One night, she suddenly showed up at my doorstep fuming with anger. Chloe is a very stubborn woman, I must admit. If she wants to do something, she will do it irrespective of the circumstances. So, it was raining heavily that night in NYC and she still showed up at my apartment, dripping wet in that flimsy raincoat of hers. For heaven's sake, the woman did not bother to fetch a better rain protection to get to my place. So you can comprehend that she was pretty furious. She started yelling at me for avoiding her calls and making her feel so alone and left out. She broke down. On one side, her husband started seeking comfort in other women, making her question her worth. And there I was, completely alienating her without giving a reason. She downright asked me if she was a terrible person because everyone important to her was suddenly walking out without turning back. I've hardly seen Chloe cry. She is a freaking strong woman. Just give it a thought, how much stress that woman must have endured to break down like that, especially in front of a man who clearly ghosted her for months. I was instantly guilty. How did I end up being so selfish? She was always there for me, through breakups, professional debacles, financial issues and whatnot. There were days I crashed on her couch because I had nowhere else to go and my ego was too big to ask my sweet mother for some money. I pulled her into a hug and she sobbed into my shirt. Karen walked in on us, pulled Chloe away and slapped her. I am not mincing my words. At that moment, I was so furious, I would have hurt Karen so badly if not for Chloe. I was angry that she assaulted my friend like that, but Chloe kept her cool. She calmed me down. I could see how hard Karen hit her. Chloe's cheek was crimson red and she was already shivering because of the cold. Karen did not let her enter the house. Even I was stupid, I did not ask her to come in when I opened the door. She started unloading her emotional baggage so fast that the thought did not occur to me. Karen accused Chloe of stealing me away. Well, the same thing that she told me. Chloe finally understood why I was avoiding her. She graciously told us both that she wouldn't be disturbing us anymore and left. After that, she never took my calls or let me inside her house even though I attempted to make amends with her. She sent me a message saying her husband never chose her as his priority and I must not be doing the same with Karen. Let's come back to the whole pregnancy scenario. I ignored the email and was back to my normal. Karen has a habit of keeping our room messy. I usually asked her to clean it up and she would without complaining. But by then, she was 2 months pregnant and I did not want her to do any chores. I began cleaning the room and putting her things back in their respective places. That is when I stumbled upon a file in her work desk. A DNA test. Karen's child's DNA test. And the result was very clear: I am not the father. Well, the reports did not say that, but they certainly said who the father is. My girlfriend was soon going to deliver my step-sibling. Wow, I should be throwing a party. My sarcasm might seem a bit nasty to some people, but what else do you expect from me? I was building these dreams of a romantic future with a child in tow that was not even mine. Much worse, it's my father's. I realized that Karen was playing me. And oh, she was good. But if she was going to go down that path, I'd do the same and show her what it means to be betrayed. That's exactly the thought that crossed my mind while I had those DNA results in my hand. I could go and confront her at that moment. But, will she agree that she was sleeping with my dad behind my back? Will that make her feel guilty? Will she ever realize her mistake? This woman destroyed my relationship with my best friend while cheating on me with my dad. I might be petty, but I chose revenge. I wouldn't have it any other way. I am no saint and I would never want to be one. The perfect opportunity came up in the form of the gender reveal party. This happened about a week back. The memories are really fresh in my mind, so I won't leave any details behind. Karen was 6 months pregnant. We wanted to do the gender reveal sooner, but my work commitments disturbed our plans. One of Karen's friends called me and said that they wanted to host a gender reveal party for us. I bagged the chance. I agreed instantly. I still feel that rush of anger while typing this. That gender reveal pissed me off to a great extent. But I kept my composure. I had bigger plans. I started being extra nice to Karen. She did not notice. I did everything that she wanted me to do. I was never a good actor, so I was going overboard to keep my real feelings hidden and to treat her like she meant everything to me. At this point, she meant nothing to me. Nada. Any other person would have noticed the sudden sweet shenanigans, but Karen as well. Karen. She doesn't care as long as she is profiting from things. On the day of the gender reveal, I faked the excitement on my face. I also went ahead and invited Chloe and her daughter to the party. I knew she wouldn't come, so I emotionally blackmailed her. I sent her many messages that I would be needing her on the day. It's of paramount importance and she shouldn't ditch me for anything. I also went ahead and said that I'd never ask her any other favor in my life. I'm glad she fell for it and showed up. Karen's friends made a video montage for us. I asked them to show it to me before they played it in front of the guests so that I could help them remove any parts that might upset Karen. I emphasized by saying that her hormones were making her very jumpy these days and I didn't want her sad on a special day. You know what makes me laugh? All her friends are men. And she had a problem with my female friend. Right. I took the video, gave it a nice edit and returned it. The friends didn't have time to go through it, so they took it right to the banquet hall where we organized the gender reveal. My mother wanted to do it in her backyard in her villa, but I refused. Karen's truth must come out with a bang. I was driven by revenge, people. You have no idea how furious I was. It was way worse because I was bottling up my emotions. The event started and we posed with the lovey-dovey faces. Karen gave a very lengthy speech about how I was the perfect boyfriend and would prove to be the ideal husband and dad. Yes, I am sure I will, but I prefer to do it with my own kid. After her speech, Chloe walked in and Karen's face fell. She was irked by her presence. I knew she'd not make a big deal of it in the reveal anyway. After cutting the cake and seeing that it was a boy, we all cheered and celebrated. You have no idea how badly I wanted to pull my own hair and scream. And at last, they played the montage on the white screen using the projector. It was great in the beginning, the journey of our first meet to the first date, how we moved in together and went on our first international trip, a cute proposal ring, and boom. The pictures of her with my father. I intentionally did not interact with my father for the whole evening. To see the color drain out of his face as soon as he saw the pictures only intensified my doubts. They both knew what they were doing. It was definitely not a one-time thing. The photographs were taken in multiple locations. It was pretty clear: the pubs, cafes, my freaking house, my bedroom, on my bed. I want you to tell me, how could I still hold on to my sanity seeing my father having intercourse with my fiancée in my bedroom, a place where I slept with her every day? How did my father betray me? There were loud gasps, a few disgusted sounds, and a lot of angry stares. Karen did not expect it. She immediately turned to me and said that the photographs were fake, probably morphed or generated. Just like I had initially thought. But, my father did not join her. Guilt was plastered on his face, he wouldn't meet my eye. She did ask him to join her and explain how everything was a lie, but he didn't move from where he was standing. I let her whine and complain for a long time. No one was buying it, honestly. And then, I just let the video play. The next frame was the picture of the DNA test she took. Her name was clear on the top as the person who requested and took the test. The result was also clear: my father is the real daddy dearest. There was no way in heaven and earth she could have refuted that, but Karen managed to do it. She made me the bad guy. She started accusing me of having an affair with Chloe. She went so far as to say that Chloe's husband divorced her because he was aware of our affair. Karen declared to everyone that the photos and the fake DNA test were my tricks to not take responsibility for our kid and to run away with Chloe. Whatever she meant by run away. Do you know what the most surprising part was? She said Chloe made those photos to defame her. For God's sake, those photographs are clearly original. I couldn't see it the first time, but the guests weren't fooled. When Chloe said she only wanted me to see the truth because I am her best friend, everything fell into place. It was Chloe who clicked the photographs. It's kind of obvious to me now because apart from me and Karen, only she knew the code to my apartment. If I was not so engrossed in the pain of the betrayal, I would have used my brain to analyze who might have shown me the reality. That was not my priority then, right? I had to expose Karen so that I wouldn't associate myself with a woman who slept with my father right under my nose. I don't know what happened to my dad then, but he suddenly realized that he had wronged his son. I guess it was a kind of an epiphany. He stepped forward and admitted to everyone that he was sleeping with Karen, but he was honestly unaware that the child was his. Karen never told him. If he knew, he wouldn't have encouraged her to marry his son. How does that make him less guilty? You slept with your future daughter-in-law and not once did it cross your mind that you were indeed putting your son in the dark. And now, you want to be the saint? How could I excuse him? What do you think? Should I have excused him? Because I certainly did not. He also added that Chloe stumbled upon them once while they were in a cafe. There was no foul play for her to suspect. But around this time, Karen started to behave differently with Chloe. She also started eating my ears off that Chloe might be sexually interested in me. When she slapped Chloe on that rainy day, my best friend finally suspected something was wrong. She followed Karen and found out how she was sleeping with my father. On that day, I threw Karen's belongings out. I asked her to leave the house. I took back all of the gifts I gave her. I spent a good amount of time over the week to tally down all the money I spent on her and sent an invoice. No, I'm not joking. I sent her an invoice named freaking Return My Money, Biatch. Now, why I am here telling you all this because people had mixed reactions to how I threw Karen out. While most of them were happy that I chose to remove toxicity from my life and not accept a woman who showed no loyalty, others felt I must have been generous. Do you think I should have been generous, excused my father and Karen for cheating on me and accepted the baby as part of the family? I cut all ties with my father, my biological father. Why would I still associate myself with Karen? Some of her friends said that I was too harsh in throwing her out like that because where else would she go? She is pregnant and how will she be able to take care of herself? I expected my dad to take her in, but he did not. He had to answer to his wife, my mother, right? I also felt bad because I hardly thought about my mother. She is combating cancer. I let this news come out in the open and she must have felt terrible. A marriage of almost 34 years, crumbled and destroyed. Did I hurt my mother with my revenge scheming? Did I embarrass her in front of other people? I have no idea. I did what I thought was correct, but now, I am being haunted by these guilty thoughts as if I wronged someone. Are people making gaslighting me with their think about the pregnant girl BS? I cannot ask anyone the answers to my questions. The ones on my side would support me and Karen's friends will speak in her support. Chloe is here for emotional support, but she refused to make my decisions for me. She said I have to figure these things out and no one can tell me how to feel. She also added that her opinion would of course be biased toward me. So, what do you think? Did I do the right thing or Ida for throwing Karen out and exposing her whisk lies to everyone? Should I be guilty about what I did? Did I wrong my mother because of the elaborate revenge scheme? Ugh. My head will bust open with all these invading thoughts. It's been a rough week and I am still confused about what I did. I understand past is past, but just for my mental peace, can someone shed some unbiased light on my situation? Update 1. Thank you so much for your comments. I am very overwhelmed to see so many people come in support of me. I hope you didn't have to experience the same pain that I had to develop such intellectual perspectives. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. A quick update on how things have been in the past month. I finally gathered the courage to go speak to my mother. I was pleasantly surprised when she said that she was not offended or embarrassed. My mother suspected that my father had been cheating on her for over 15 years now. Can you believe that? And she never told me anything about it. She used to discuss with her girlfriends about the same and they always suggested that she don't question my dad until she finds anything suspicious. She never did. My dad was that good. But when I exposed him at the gender reveal party, it felt like a liberation to my mother. My father crawled back to her and begged for forgiveness, something she never gave him. She stood her ground and said that she'd fight her cancer alone. She has her son to take care of her. Oh yes. I do it with my life. Karen messaged me multiple times and I ignored her. I also intimated my apartment security to keep her off the grounds. When I refused to get into any dialogue with her, she showed up at Chloe's house. Chloe, being the sweet person that she is, explained to Karen that there is no future anymore and that she must move on and be a better person. The next day, Karen showed up at Chloe's daughter's school and scared the little girl with her maniac screaming. She blamed Chloe and me for ruining her life and cursed at the little girl. Yes, a little girl. She kept saying that nothing good could ever come to Chloe's daughter because her mother interfered with someone else's happiness. This was way out of line, so I filed a restraining order against Karen. Chloe did the same. She twisted that against us and told our mutual friends that she saw me and Chloe making out, and that is why we filed for the restraining order. I must seriously laugh at the folks who are still believing her. She seems to be silent now. We don't have any nuisance from her end at the moment. I am just hoping it stays that way. Update 2. It's been almost 4 months now. I am here to give you another update on how things have been. It feels like I am living a soap opera. Karen is persistent, I must give her that. Even after the restraining order, she sent me multiple emails apologizing and asking for a second chance. She said she'd give the baby up for adoption and we can start fresh. Simple. It was that easy for her to say it. Simple, that's the exact word she used. Guess what, Karen? It is not that simple. You can't just have babies, give them up for adoption and pray that the families they go into would give them love and affection. I don't think Karen even worried about that part. She just wanted to come back to bask in the luxury of being my girlfriend. Well, I ignored her. I think this desperation stems from the fact that she had no one left in her life that she could call her own. Karen's parents disowned her. It has nothing to do with the cheating scandal though. Her parents were very supportive when the news broke, even suggesting that she marry the father instead of the son. Well, the father's more money so that would benefit their family. So much for being affluent. Well, they disowned her because of some property disputes she had with her elder brother. They took his side and not hers. I didn't bother to inquire about the specifics because it is irrelevant to me. I think that did affect her immensely. Let's skip to the important part. She delivered a baby girl. And as she had said, she did give her up for adoption. We did the next best thing. We requested our acquaintances to adopt her. They've been trying to adopt for a while but did not feel a connection with any child. We asked them to meet the baby girl once and decide for themselves. Oh, they loved her. I never prayed to God, never thanked him for anything, but that day, I kneeled in front of the Lord. I thanked him for giving my stepsister a family. It's not her fault, is it? Why should she suffer for the decisions that her parents made? How could I ever hate her? She will grow up to be a great human being. She deserves that chance. I would never be harsh on her. My mother is doing well too. She is responding positively to the cancer treatment and the radiation therapy. I've been taking care of her and she moved in with me. It's like childhood again. I am always excited to come back home to my mother. Karen seems to have moved on. She found someone else. Her friends claim that they're going strong and Karen learned from her mistakes. Good for her then. I have no energy to wish her sadness or something worse. She could live a life of her choice as long as it is away from me. Update 3. It's been 2 years. Wow, how time flies. So, mom is cancer-free. Hooray. I am dating a very sweet Filipino girl. Never heard back from Karen, thankfully. I forgot to mention in my last update that my baby sister has a name. She is called Daisy. I am not revealing her surname for obvious reasons. Some also pointed out why I am referring to her as my baby sister. Because she is. I don't plan on telling her our familial dynamics anytime soon. She thinks I am her uncle. I'll let it stay this way until she is mentally ready to accept the truth. It will take some time. Coming to my girlfriend, I am not rushing things with her. It's not because I don't trust her, but I want to give us some time and see if we are compatible. There are cultural differences and she is 26 years old, almost 6 years younger than me. She was the one to pursue me, so I was very hesitant to say yes. I also had this thought that young girls will eventually cheat. Chloe smacked that thought out of me. She said I shouldn't look at my present through the lens of the past. Oh, how right she was. My girlfriend is a blessing and despite her age, her maturity level is astonishing. She didn't make a hasty decision in choosing me. It was not infatuation or a result of casual flirting. She took me for me. If that makes sense to you. I am glad she did. We are doing great, traveling together to different parts of the world, and life seems so much brighter now. We are taking one step at a time and let's see where it will lead us. I am happy for me. I'm sure you are too.